Good afternoon, and welcome to Brunch and Budget on Bonfire Radio with your host, Pamela Capallet, a certified financial planner here to help take the bite out of your budget. Brunchandbudget.com. I'm your sound provider, Dialect, and here with the Dead Day Job Army interview is Pamela Capallet.
Thank you, Dialect, and welcome everybody to the Dead Day Job Army. This is a monthly Brunch and Budget series where entrepreneurs and freelancers of color share their stories and talk about the real. We ask folks to leave their shiny pictures and Instagram highlights at the door and tell us what it's really like to do the work, put in the time, and devote your life to your work. So,
also it's radio, so
it's radio.
You're not going to see any Instagram.
No
stuff.
Instagrams.
Anyways, they could even have brought them in, but no one would see them.
No one's seeing Instagrams. I mean, you could look it up later. So we have a very awesome show. We are so excited to have this guest. We met...
I'm so excited.
We're so excited. I know. Dialect is all VI'd out right now, and we'll tell you why in a second. So we met James Freeman at one of his restaurants, actually, in the neighborhood, Bushwick, Brooklyn. Thank you so much for being here.
Yay!
Yes!
In case you were guessing by her saying all VI'd out, he is... I can't say countryman because we're still a territory we're owned.
A territoryman?
Our territoryman. I never know. Like when people get to say like, how do you say this? Because when people say where they're from, if it's in the United States, it's like my hometown, right? But I can't say my hometown of St. Croix because it's
your home island.
It's actually a town. Home island is. Yeah, I've said that.
I just say I say I'm from St. Croix. You know, and then it gets deeper. Then it's like what part of St. Croix are you from? But then it's kind of a catch-22 for me because I was born in New York and raised in St. Croix. So they're like, well, I don't hear an accent. Then I get around people like Dialect and it's like, yes, my lord, you know what I mean? Yeah. You know, cheese on bread.
Well, and it's like, well, you know, as a freshwater, buy that from Christian stead.
What? Lord. Lord.
So this is going to be the show?
Catch a dollar man.
Oh my God, the dollar man.
Yo,
watch out. You know dollar van in New York is $2.
What?
Look,
inflation, man.
Look, I gotta tell you the funny story. Now, being born in New York, so my first time in St. Croix, you know, like obviously they called me Yankee, and there's a couple of things that you got to do to kind of get that Yankee stigma.
By the way, that's not New York specific. Anyone
who's not
of
from
the
the
bottom
island
of Florida is a Yankee.
So, the first test. You get into this dollar van, right? And everybody's like real cool. You got the dreads and you got the locals, and you know they're like, you know, the dollar van is humming, you know, playing like Gregory Isaac, you know, like, you know, Telephone Love, all sorts of things, right? You know, and then, you know, the first dude, he's like, Shanti. You know, the dude pulls over by, you know, so I'm like, oh man, you know, like, you know, there's no bus stops, you know? And the next dude's like, Kana. And that was the coolest thing because it was just like these little things, and they would stop, be like, Yellow sign by the road.
Yes, you just know around the goat.
So me now, be like, yes, can you please stop by the corner over there by the by the shanty? And then the whole bus just stops. You know, it's like the Chappelle series, like Erks! Everybody looks at you. Well, that's my St. Croix funny version being a Yankee before I was actually welcomed with open arms.
Wow.
Yeah, you see, you need to learn to simplify. If you can't exactly say all of the words, crucial enough is dada.
Just learn the one.
Just learn
the
to
one.
that point.
Yeah.
Guess you put it. Right. Yeah, you're safe.
Oh my God. So we met James while eating at his restaurant, and we just wanted to come by and say hi because we heard he was cruising, and we ended up talking for over an hour probably just about everything that you've done and I want you to kind of recreate the moment of just telling us what your background is, how you went from St. Croix, you came back to New York, you gave us a little rap, you were a rapper, you're an MC, and now you own 3 restaurants in Bushwick.
Which it's something I always thought that would happen because I felt it. I started out, I used to live in Harlem, and I was living in Hell's Kitchen, and I got priced out of both those areas, and then I ended up in Bushwick because that's where all the artists were doing the artsy stuff. But then I realized I was in a Puerto Rican neighborhood, and I felt very at home. Right next door to me was a botanica where they used to sacrifice chickens and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, oh, chicken waking up every morning? This feels like I'm at home. And I always felt like the VI would be super at home here. So when I heard there was an entrepreneur who had some businesses here, it only made sense to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, first of all, it's like 6-part question and stuff, right?
I know, yes.
You know,
it's like a question and a question and a question.
So I'm gonna just go. I'm gonna
just
flow.
go.
So touching on the music, like very, very shortly, like, I used to do music, and that was a great learning experience. And I think everybody, every urban kid or somebody of color, actually, basically all of young America wants to do something in entertainment. So long story short, like this little fork in the road, stumbling block, I had to figure out what I was going to do, reinventing myself. Yeah. So I reinvented myself into a restaurateur, which my first place is called Sweet Science, which is actually the technical term for the art of boxing. And the reason for that was my play on words, and that's the artist background, where it was a fight to get open. You deal with all the red tape and the legalities of like this and that getting open, which is kind of hard and it's very difficult. Sometimes, like within that moment, I actually believed that the powers that be don't like small businesses to open because they make it so hard, So
totally agree.
So with that said, being an artist actually prepared me to do business.
How?
Because, as an artist, the first thing that you have to do is you have to like believe that you can sell yourself. You have to sell yourself. You have to become a wordsmith with words. You have to be able to get your point across very clearly.
That's so interesting, because I feel like so many artists say they want the work to speak for themselves. They don't want to have to sell it.
That's bullshit.
Right?
That's absolute bullshit. And anybody who says that, that's like kind of the starving artist mentality, which is kind of a walk through life being a hopeless romantic. And that's the other thing about music. You get burned. You get burned financially. You get burned by having these long contracts that you don't really know what to look for. And that's like the same thing with a record contract. Is kind of the same experience as a business owner looking at a P&L for the first time.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Crazy.
It's crazy.
Well,
I wanted to jump in a little bit quickly as you were saying of the starving artist mentality. It's a thing that people do while having you shoot for the stars. They teach you that you're supposed to be poor.
Oh, hell no. Like... I want to
keep it real.
Yeah.
Like when people say keep it real, I'm trying to keep it real. If you're trying to keep it real, then you're only talking to yourself. Then you might as well keep your art in the basement. If you're sharing it with people, you have to keep it communicative.
Yeah. Now, two things. First of all, in the good book, the Bible, it is written and it is said money is a defense. So you need to be able to defend yourself. But then also, as an artist, there is some sort of creativity that comes from actually, like your deepest of lows, your heartbreak.
So
that's when the best material is made. But you have to kind of understand that fine balance. It's like in Egyptology, Heru and all that. You have to go before the god and put your heart on a scale, and it shall be judged by the weight of your deeds.
Whoa,
that was kind of some deep shit, wasn't it?
That's intense. That's intense. And I love the parallel that you draw between, I feel like that between being a musician and being a restaurateur, and the idea of you have to think of yourself as a business on some level in both ways. And I feel like there's art in being a restaurant owner that a lot of people don't think about, and there's business in being an artist that a lot of people don't think about.
Which is one and the same, because now, as I evolve a little bit, it's more than just, I'm gonna just start this little thing and open up this, like this little spot, and just kind of just sling and do food, or just serve some drinks and just have like a regular bar restaurant, right?
Yeah.
And just let it continue as that. The artist in me is very conscious of the brand. To build a brand is to build a future. Like a brand, you can actually put anywhere. You can actually go to different locations and say like, this is where I can put this. So your brand is more of what it's kind of like your template. And you don't really unless and then that's kind of a hard thing to kind of figure out, because most people don't really go into business like with all the T's crossed and the I's dotted. Like myself, I had to figure it out. Like I really had to figure out and had to learn what my brand was, who my clientele is, and like what do I expect from my staff and from myself.
Yeah, how did that evolve? Like, how did you go from the idea of starting a restaurant, and what kinds of challenges did you face in between? that got you to Sweet Science?
Oh God.
Because it's really successful, y'all.
Nah, well, stop it. I mean, first I can say, the success of Sweet Science is based upon the success of the people that are around me. And the people that are around me, they also believe in it. So sometimes, when I'm by myself and I'm in like my lowest point, because there's, just little things that can kind of get you down. Being around people that actually believe in your vision, it makes you get up and go. Like I have to wake up earlier than everybody, and I have to go to sleep later than everybody. It's a constant grind.
Being around people that believe in your vision help you get up and go. I just had to reiterate that because that was really
Somebody
solid.
tweet that. That was beautiful.
Jimmy gives to the people.
Yes. Oh, I love it.
I hope that is a summer pop-up. Jimmy for the people.
Jimmy for the people, and also there's Jimmy. There's also Jimmy loves the kids.
Yeah.
And and then when we talk about success, and when people say, "Oh, you got a successful restaurant," that makes me very nervous. I hold my breath. I get on a bending knee.
Why?
Because people they really deal with their animal instincts. People don't want to support a cause if the person who is the author of the cause is arrogant, doesn't have any sort of feeling, caring, emotions. There's a couple of words that I'm missing. But
you scared. Well, you're not trying to be Hollywood.
Nah.
And it's really easy. And you see it in New York where people, next thing they know, oh man, I don't. Because you have to have such a singular grind sometimes to get where you're going, that some people grind so hard that they do lose the people, and you don't want to wake up one day and realize you
have nobody around you. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like what are you gonna say on your third album? What are you gonna say on your next track?
Right.
And then also too, there's the people that you start with might not be the people that you finish with. Within business you can't, and within life you can't be held hostage by people that are supposed to be for you. It's like business is like a relationship. Hopefully two people get together and die together.
Right.
Or they kind of separate. Hopefully it's amicable. Or
Yeah.
So if someone has, I'm thinking of, because that's, I think, great advice for entrepreneurs who are starting out, because I like to talk a lot about where you get your money from and who you want to work with. Your clients are important. It's important for you to choose your clients, just like it's important for you to choose your boss if you're working a 9-to-5. And it's great to think about how, you don't always necessarily have to stay in that same exact relationship. Some of these folks that you meet, like if you want a young people of color demographic and your first patrons are older Caucasian people, and you're like, oh, that's not the demographic I was looking for, that's not necessarily who you're going to end up with.
No, this is true. And then, okay, so for example, one of the things that actually kind of put me on a little bit of a springboard was this young lady by the name of Janice, and she has this site called I Don't Do Clubs, right? And then she basically did this thing called, she featured black-owned restaurants. And I was one of those that was featured. And, the amount of people that came in through that they were very impressed by what they saw. Yeah. And I was surprised because it was almost like, oh, well, I didn't believe that this visually can come from somebody like you, which is, look, man, business and creating something, it's not just a one person thing. It's like government, there's faces for, there's a face for somebody who represents you, but then that person who represents you has to get information from everybody else around them, Yeah. Damn, did I go off topic?
No, this is all good.
Oh, that's all good?
This is
all right. Okay.
So, I love it. I love it.
So, so with the black-owned restaurant, so the point that I was trying to make is listen, man, power to the people. I love who I am. And one of the main reasons why I love who I am is because I come from we come from the generation who inherited the speech of I have a dream and I have seen the mountaintop. So we're the ones that have to do something about that.
Right. You have to take action on it now.
Yeah. So the thing that I experienced, right, within being minority business is that people try to put me in a lane. They just tried to put me in a lane, and I'm like, well, I want to compete with, like other marquee restaurants or other marquee bars, or like I wouldn't say I want to get a Michelin star, because that is something that requires a lot more knowledge, and there's a culture that goes with that. But I don't want to just be, oh, that's just a black-owned restaurant, and this is
you're
what
like
you're
good for a
supposed to
black
do.
restaurant kind of thing.
It's like Andre 3000, like kind of, or what is it, Charles Barkley, like when they sing, like like they rap and then all of a sudden they're singing. You're like, oh, this is not what's supposed to happen.
Right.
This can't happen.
Yeah, you can do it.
Yeah. You can do it too.
It's not a special designation that it's a business, but it's a black-owned business.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Don't expect much.
Don't pity me. Don't pity me. Like I want the same respect as like
and the
as
same
my peers.
Expectations.
Hell yeah. We work hard for that.
Yeah.
And I got to give a shout out to my lovely wife, Anna Hill Freeman, and our manager of Sweet Science, who does a bang up job.
Yeah.
Nikki.
who's sitting right here.
Yeah, that's right.
Chilling.
Yeah, that's right. And that's one of the good people that's in my corner that helps Sweet Science take. So
now having your team is so. I mean, you know this from being an artist, that it's so vitally important. People talk about DIY, but none of us truly do this by ourselves.
I have a question for you. Speaking of that, do you have a background in restaurants, or do you have a family history of restaurants? How did this restaurant idea come up?
Were you just the guy on tour who always made the good omelet?
Yeah, for real.
No, I did that as well.
Right.
I did that as well. My was like, damn, Jay, you could cook. I'm like, oh, like it's something.
Word.
But no, when I left St. Croix, right, it was after Hurricane Hugo. Right. So one of my first jobs in New York was this place called Nick and Eddie's on the corner of Spring and Sullivan, before the whole gentrification of downtown Manhattan of Soho.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it wasn't like what we see now, but like it was up and coming. So this place, Nick and Eddie, one of the owners, his name was Philip Hoffman, and not Seymour, but Philip Hoffman, and then the other owner was Eric Bromberg, and Eric Bromberg is the owner and the creator of Blue Ribbon. So I look at that.
Oh, what?
Yeah, and that right there, seeing like the whole Blue Ribbon brand.
Oh yeah.
That right there is inspiring. But not only is that inspiring, that's where I came from. Like I started bussing tables. Like just being a busboy. Then all of a sudden, Philip was like, "Hey man, you want to try bartending?" And now that's when it became really interesting, because being behind the bar became like a stage. And like damn, like bartending in like in your early 20s, like back in, I'm not gonna date myself, but it was hella fun.
Oh man,
it was hella fun. It was like back in the day, like like you had Red Stripe, you had all these little hole in the wall spots where you can go and you can just catch a party and just black out. No sleep till Brooklyn.
I wish
Living
I had
that.
brought with me great MC, educator, homeboy, friend of Bonfire Station, Jake Lefko, who is an MC who was one of the number of MCs who was a longtime bartender, and he's got a dope song about living life on the other side of the bar and what that looks like. I have to make sure we run that on another Bonfire show.
Yes.
Nice. I want to hear that. Yeah.
So good.
Yes.
What up, Jake Left?
Yeah. So you went from bartending and loving bartending. How did you jump from that to, I think I want to run my own restaurant?
And how did you not get caught up in the bartending
Yeah,
culture?
because we
that
know
stuff is a
people who are
trap.
just like, you make a ton of money at the bar and then you spend a ton of money at the bar.
That happened. That happened a couple times. Yeah. That how I would say I would leave, and all of a sudden I wake up the next day and be like, damn.
No money. It's gone.
But it was, like as a child, as a kid, what we was talking about earlier, with no sort of like financial experience, like money didn't have any value to me. It just didn't mean anything. It was like it was something that maintained me through the day. And as how I went from artist to restaurateur, to open up my own place, that took a while. That took me figuring out what I was, and I had to reinvent myself.
Yeah, what had to change for you to get out of that mentality? Because I think a lot of us get caught up in that, like, oh, I'm making money, but money is just a means to, like, yada yada. So you don't place enough value on it to get enough of it to change your station.
Extreme measures. When you when you go from a situation to having money to not having any money at all,
Word.
you know, then money becomes very precious. You know, when you go from a situation of, you know, eating anything you want, or getting, like, you know, just going in and buying something on site, to saying, like, damn, I got to get these 2 packets of ramen noodles and this packet of ground beef for like $1.95 and kind of make this little, like, you know, like this spaghetti and just like kind of do something like that, then things change. Or if you find yourself on, like, you know, like a little line, you know, at your local church because, you know, it's that bad, you know, then that reinvention, especially when you know better, especially when you're looking at yourself saying, like, man, I have some sense, man, like, why am I in this situation? Why am I in this rut? Right. You know, and then that's when something clicks. That's when your other self clicks in. That's when that higher intelligence, you know, that's when reinvention makes you dig deep and say, what can I really do? You know? And then from that's a whole nother journey, because, you know, you just don't go from nothing to something. I mean, it's a step, you know, like the first step was getting a job, you know, like, or getting a resume and then getting that job and not being satisfied with that job and saying, what will it take from myself to get a better job? Then you get a better job. And then, you know, like, these jobs are, if they're in a cubicle, like, that's fine, you know, if that's your thing. Yeah. For me, it was like prison. You know, it was like prison. I can't sit still long. I'm surprised I'm here this long, but I think it's the libation. Yes. But either way, you know, it's like, you know, like you start doing things and, like, you just keep busy. And for me, it was like, you know, like, from being in music to not doing music at all, just feeling really jaded about it. And then my mom passed, and then once my mom passed, I lost my mom. Then I lost my song. You know, it was like there was nothing that I wanted to prove. Like, you know, when my mom was alive, when I was doing music, my goal was to buy her a house. My goal was to get her all these things that could have been done with a different effort. Like, you know, like, say, instead of just saying, like, you know what, let me, like, if I figured out what I figured out after the hard times, then it would have been a whole new playbook. It would have been a different playbook. You know, but music allowed me to discover things. It allowed me to, like, kind of meet new people, you know, and that's what we were talking about, Dialect, where, like, you know, like, education. Yeah. You know, like, education sometimes needs to be a little bit more broad, where, you know, like, most of these kids in these schools now, like, and I teach, like, not teach, but I go talk to kids, and, like, they, you know, like, some kids that I've talked to, they've never left their borough.
Yeah, and they're taught to be employees or prisoners.
Yeah, well, not even taught. It's like, yeah, they're taught, but they accept it. Yeah. You know, they accept it. They accept
don't know
it.
The options.
They spend so much time, like, and this generation, we spend so much time on the YouTubes and just, like, in front of a screen, that the world is passing you by. And, you know, like, there's different goal rushes. You know, like, our last gold rush that we actually lived through was, like, the invention of the internet, the whole internet explosion, like, you know, like this. And now the new explosion is, like, apps, you know, and, like, all these little things that make our life better and easier. And you have to be able to design those things, you know? So this divide is getting broader. And we don't understand how important education is. And the reason why we don't understand how important education is because we're learning the same things that our parents were learning that just didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
You know? Yes. Yes.
Let's go to a song and
woo. Yeah, sit on that. Process
for real.
that. All right. So, like I said, we're gonna be playing some St. Croix stuff, and it's gonna go a number of different ways. And I figure I started out something a little bit simple. This is something that Conscious knows from my crew, Cypress Syndicate down in St. Croix. We was talking about that.
Nice.
Got my homeboy Arson. Arson, check it out. You'll like this because Arson from St. Croix moved up here a while ago, working with Frantic RP, straight out of New York City. So we got St. Croix and New York. They're called the Beat Raiders. This is Black Owl. We'll check you in a minute. Brunch and Budget, Bonfire Radio.
Well, hello, Mr. Fancy Pants. I got news for you, pal. You ain't leading but two things right now. Jack and shit. Jack left town. Wait a minute. You gotta understand, man. I never even saw these assholes before.
I'm a shaved caveman, living in the land of the slave, home of the brave man. Your mom's a streetwalker with no legs, and she parties like a fucking rock star. The drink she do keg stands, rebuild and destroy. It's the same fat, so b-boys, siblings do a rain dance. Fellatio from a crazy hoe, that's my brain stance. Playing Keisha Cole, hopped up in a stolen 80s van. Click Instagram, but the cops probably get Twitter fans. Shit, business plans, torture rap to the Taliban. Social networking, slipping Mickeys in Disneyland, chasing Joneses, killing Johns. Worse than Muhammad, need to make a profit. With the props, he's self-fulfilling. And cops pop you if you caught, and call it innocent. But if you're not stopped, you get cocky and probably kill again. Life's rocky, 5 oxys, black coffee. Beat a Nazi while I'm rocking some whitewash sheets. Cause I'm a hater, but fuck haters. Sprinkle crack on a dead orphan, now you drug related. A zombie, beat raider, ain't sleep for days, bro. Dangerous, I'm a stepping razor. So raise up, plant the body for investigators. They gave up, open the front page up, fighters found 28 months later. Player, we all broke money makers, cause selling my soul seems to only sound better on paper. So I burn the bread like a joker, I'm a bad baker. Fucking dance pop genre's probably much safer. Later.
Who wants some? Who's next? Huh? How about it? Who wants some? Huh? Who wants to have a list?
Welcome to the last chamber. Mind numbing, running the gambit, hands in danger. Man with a skilled trade, carpenter tools. Cut, carve my name, harm and maim. Off the chain, board the plane. We're going on a long trip, one-way ticket, 1 minute, sticking it in. Beware the blackout at house without prejudice. On the precipice, restless, ready to set it. Vetted victims, targets to hit, harder spit, sailing ships. My brain's tattooed with alien glyphs. Burning Bob Marley spliffs with an arsonist. Loading cartridges, conquer shit and demolish it. Bury heads in the sand like ostriches. Ominous dominance taking audio hostages. And getting rockets up monstrous. With the confidence to box a rhinoceros. Call a scientist, form a hypothesis. A hottest man use magic and metallurgy. Alchemic techniques unknown to the clergy. Keep your mouth shut, listen up, face forward. You heard the lesson, but it hasn't resonated on them. Fresh out the pit in the pendulum with a rhythm. Back like a bat out of hell with a shot of adrenaline. Split your meatloaf in half, acid tabs and ritalin.
Oh. You want some more? Huh? You want a little? Oh. Do you? Huh? You know your shoelaces untied.
Back, Brunch and Budget, Bonfire Radio. That was the Beat Raiders with Black Owl. Sure, they're real nature enthusiasts. That's
oh yeah.
For the Black Owl.
I'm sure that's why. So
thing.
this is our Dead Day Job Army episode of the month. We are here with James Freeman, the restaurant owner of Sweet Science, Featherweight, and Sally Roots.
His food will knock you out.
There you go.
Nice.
That's right.
Yo,
That's
cut
right.
that
was the advertisement, right?
Food will knock
Yeah,
you
Sweet
out.
Science, definitely the art
That's
of
right.
boxing. Sweet Science, there you go. Ding, ding.
Yes, and Featherweight, which is like so cool. The website is just you just kind of have to know what it is.
Y'all
And,
the only-
and oh look, featherweight is actually. I mean, they're starting this. Featherweight is actually like a lower weight class in boxing.
Yeah.
So that means you still got to eat a lot, even if you skinny. That's
You
what
do.
featherweight is saying.
That's
Yo,
right.
but also, so it's a
Maga behind
speakeasy.
me to eat.
Yeah.
It's a speakeasy, and if you go to featherweightbk.com, it's just a picture that says featherweight, and you just kind of have to know.
Yeah, it's like,
I
when you
love
go
it.
in there, it's basically featherweight, right? It's what we do in there is we do like high-end boutique cocktails, but you don't have that pretentious, aura where it's like when you go out and you want to try these new cocktails, you know,
Right, but you don't want to go to Manhattan.
Not
and
even.
yeah.
It doesn't matter where you go, but you're curious.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're just curious. It's like it's like going to a record store and there's all these albums.
Yeah.
You can't listen to them, but back in the day, you were able to take the record out and
Right.
sample it. So the whole business plan behind that is you get these high end cocktails and you have a bartender that's not pretentious, and if you don't know what you want. Their
ask 'em.
response is what kind of spirit do you like? And they'll make you something delicious. It's like jumping into a pool of warm kiwi.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Do you have a pool of warm kiwi somewhere?
Featherweight
No,
is like
but
jumping into a
that's-
pool
That's
of
that's
warm.
how
There's
it
an
feels.
advertisement
Yeah,
right
that's how it feels.
I want to go like right now.
I want to do a live bonfire show from a tub of warm kiwi.
Yes,
That's
at
what I'm talking
Featherweight.
about. Yes,
At
yes,
Featherweight.
in a
We're setting that
speedo,
up.
in a speedo,
Yes.
definitely.
Speedo.
Those are our summer plans right there. It's happening. It's happening. I love it. That sounds
Oh, and-
I'll say a
amazing.
featherweight long enough to end up a bantamweight.
And, like, just so anybody else wants to jump into a pool of warm kiwi, it's located in Brooklyn at 135 Graham Avenue, like the Graham Cracker, Brooklyn, New York.
Yes,
Brooklyn,
Brooklyn,
USA.
New York. Find it. I love
That's
it.
right.
I love it. So you alluded earlier to kind of struggling with not wanting to be pigeonholed as a black-owned business.
Mm-hmm.
What other challenges did you face trying to open a restaurant as an entrepreneur of color, as a black entrepreneur?
Arrogance
From who?
for myself.
Oh,
Love it.
wow.
Yeah.
Love it.
Just like, the mistakes of, like just the mistakes of not knowing, the mistakes of not being fully financed, the mistakes of like, like just like newbie mistakes, man.
Yeah.
It's like any possible thing that you can think of that you can do wrong, I did it. Except for like being lascivious or
Can we
taking
break
it
down
Yeah.
the fully financed part? Because I think
Yes.
a lot of us have stars in our eyes about the numbers that we can start with when it comes to our business.
Yeah.
And a lot of us think that, if I can pay for the building, if I can
Yeah.
pay for one order or 3 months orders, I'm good.
Yeah. Can you break down what you thought it was going to take and what it actually ended up taking?
What are you talking about, to create it?
In terms of the fully financed thing and where you were like, I'm just going to be able to do this and it's going to happen. Just going back to like the arrogance that you were talking about and then into like the reality of it.
Okay, I'm gonna try and make this as short as possible.
It's all good. It's all
I'm
good.
gonna try and make it, because this is when you have to really think creatively.
Take another drink.
Yeah, sip. But this is when you really have to think creatively.
Okay.
Like with finances, and there's all sorts of different ways to do it. Like, it's all about a thought. And before I talk about creatively thinking about financial ways, I want to drop this one thing. Hopefully this is as deep as the other things I've said. When thoughts become things, that is the evidence of faith. When you imagine something and you can actually make that thing appear into a physical form, that is the evidence of your faith. So with that said, right, looking for this place, looking for Sweet Science took me over a year, right? And I I lost faith in it, and then through friends,
Just finding the space.
what's that?
Just finding the space.
Just finding the space, and
Yeah.
I was aggressively looking, and to the point where I was looking so hard, I got discouraged. I was like, I wanted to give up. But then throughout, throughout the road of finding this, there was friends that was in my path that said, hey Jimmy, your place is probably not built, it's probably occupied. And with that said, just hearing something like that, it's not like, oh man, come on, just keep on trucking, buddy. But hearing like, hey man, have you ever thought about your space is probably occupied right now or it's not built,
Right.
to kind of keep you going instead of
Right,
somebody
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
placating you and rubbing your back and say, baby, it's going to be all right. Just keep looking, keep grinding. So with Sweet Science, the note to build it, because we built it used to be a furniture store. Right?
Oh, wow.
So it was a great learning experience. I mean, because we had to build it from soup to nuts.
Yeah,
Right?
absolutely.
And my business partner, Matty Matthew, who's like a genius in what he does, and he's a builder and a designer.
How did you meet him?
Jesus Christ, I was bartending at this place called Flatbush Farm, and just loving what I do. And when you say that, when I say that, honestly, just really loving what I do.
Yeah.
Somebody comes in, as soon as they walk through the door, I'm like, hey man, what's happening? Just being attentive, getting to know somebody enough through 1 or 2 visits, actually knowing what they drink. You're like, oh man, you like IPAs? Here you go. Beat you to the
Yeah.
punch. And to the point they'll be like, damn, I didn't want that IPA, but I'll drink it. Shit. But making friends. Jesus used to say fishing for disciples. So one night we was hanging out. I didn't really have the understanding of what he did. So he was like, he was drinking. He was just like, man, James, super cool. Man, if you find a spot, I'll build it. And I was like, man.
What?
Yeah. We drinking now. Look, listen, we drinking, right? So I'm like, oh, man.
That's when this
whatever.
stuff happens.
Yeah. But then I was like, well, are you serious? He's like, yeah, man. If you find it, I'll build it. And I was like, piggy bet me. So
Pinky swear.
Pinky,
Let's do it.
give me the pinky,
He's holding
goddammit.
his pinky up, y'all. Remembering the moment.
So
Make it real.
yeah, so he did that. Now the shits and giggles the next day, like with a little bit of a with a little bit of a nice little head on myself. I kind of went out and I was just like, I saw a for rent sign, and I called him up. So I was just gonna go. I called up the landlord or the real estate broker, and he said, okay, I'll be there in the next 10 minutes. And then I called up Maddie, and Maddie said I'll be there in 15 minutes. And that's when it got real.
Yeah.
That's when I was like, that's the moment as an artist when you flowing, and all of a sudden you meet somebody, you like, yo, I like your style.
Yeah.
And you're like, yo, okay. They're like, oh, I like your style. It's like, yo, let's make a track, and then you make one track, and you're like, okay, yo, let's make another. Next thing you know, you're like, yo, we some bad motherfuckers. Let's like, yo, let's put a name to this.
Yeah.
Let's start a group. And that's kind of what happened.
Yo, artists who are stuck in the starving artist model, I want you to know, James is not the first person, but you illustrating it really wonderfully, how the skills you have learned are the same skills you can use to be an entrepreneur in any realm.
Yeah,
Anything.
yeah, like especially if you're an artist, like that's the thing, like like we artists, right? We think differently. Like it's hard for me. Like I'm just now starting to understand how a P&L reads. It's a language that I'm understanding. Like the numbers, they're crazy. They're crazy. Like men lie, women lie, numbers don't lie. Like we say that, but that shit is some real shit.
Oh my God.
But back to financing a restaurant.
Yeah.
Right? So, obviously I didn't have enough money to do this, and I don't want to throw out a number because it's like throwing out some numbers will make me feel a little shallow right now. Right. So what I had to do was I had to get investors. Right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So now the thing is, right. The story is like I had somebody who was gonna like fund the whole project, and I believed that, right? That was a lie. So that lie crashed and burned, but it crashed and burned after I signed the lease. So once I signed the lease, then all of a sudden,
to do it.
So yeah, I was like, oh my God, all these funds I thought was available, now they're not.
Oh God.
Diversify your income streams, people. We all got to learn that one.
Yeah. So, what do? That's when you look yourself dead in the eye and you say, what do you do? What do you do? Like, do you just fuck off this opportunity, or and walk away and go back to being miserable and being a bitter person and say, oh man, it's the white man's fault that I didn't do this, right? Or do you just you dig in your pocket, start digging for change, and you get back in the game and do what you have to do? Like, so what I realized, or what I wanted to do, not what I realized, what I had to do was I had to get investors.
Yeah.
Right? So
Fast, too.
I had to get investors fast. And not only did I have to get investors, it's like I had to sell it. So all of a sudden, the business plan, and I had to sell it. And it's like, like there's GoFundMes and like people write these long, that wasn't my thing.
No crowdfunding.
Yeah, no.
Well, crowdfunding wasn't going to take care of your needs at that time.
No, not at all.
Not enough.
Not at all.
And, and what's interesting is I just want to lay it out for the listeners is you're in a position where this is the first time you're opening a restaurant. You have someone who's going to partner with you to build it, and you have to basically convince people like this is going to work even though there's no evidence behind me that it's worked in the past. So that's where you are right now, yeah.
Now, there's something that you said is really important, right? Because there was evidence in the past. And the evidence was basically me working for people. Like the bars, like the places that I worked for, like 60% of my investors, right? I mean, like I don't have a lot. It's a handful, but that's the number. The 60% of my investors are actually people that I've worked for.
What?
Yeah, like, like
that is awesome.
It's like, listen, man, like,
yeah,
like by me doing what I did in their establishments, they're like,
this guy, he
could do something.
He could do
something.
something.
He can do something. But
you hear that? Yeah.
But I had to convince them, and not only did I have to convince them, like you have to pitch, you have to tell the story, and you have to believe in the story. And not only do you have to believe in the story, that's when academics is very important because people want, like. Nobody gives you money for free. There's always things that are attached.
Yeah.
If somebody gives you $10,000, they want to know what they're gonna get.
Yeah.
Back in return.
Of course. It's an investment.
Yes.
Yeah.
And again, as we say on the show a lot, that's what's an investment.
That's an investment. People are expecting a return.
That coat that's going to last a long time is not an investment. Them fly kicks.
No.
Not an investment.
Investment stuff that's going to make you money back.
Yes.
And you know how.
Well, and I feel like that is such an amazing takeaway, too, in terms of on the investment side and also just feeling like, well, I've never opened a restaurant before. I feel like a lot of people think, I've never done this before. I've never done that before. So who's going to go behind me? And what you just said about, well, people believed in me before and people saw the work that you were able to do and the work ethic that you had before.
Yo, my work ethic is strong.
Yeah.
My work ethic is strong.
You had evidence, like you said. And I think people discount that when they do it for themselves. And I think that you just proved, like, don't discount that.
Well, and in terms of experience and making sure people know that you have a track record, yeah, we all can't go out and start our own business the first time. So for those who are looking for investors, looking for ways, crowdfunding is not always the way. You can work for someone with money, kick ass for them, and then, you know,
think about it.
Someone who got money.
Like, you know, like you're the finance guru, right?
Yeah.
So how much? What's the percentage? What's the percentage?
He has more hair than Guru.
Right? But what's the percentage, right? If you put your money in a savings account, what do you get in return?
If you're lucky, 1%.
1%. If you
Yep.
put it in an IRA, what do you get?
Well, it depends on the market. Hopefully 10% over 40 years on a regular basis.
If you put it in stocks, what do you get?
Depends on the stock.
Yeah, and then also like, when do you pull out?
When do you pull out? Exactly.
Yeah, right? If you're losing, you're losing, right? Same thing, like the restaurant business or any business, right?
Mm-hmm.
People want to know what their return is.
Right, and what the potential risk is.
Yeah, and what the risk is. The risk is you're going to lose a lot of things. Like first of all, my opening line is like, listen, man, if you know, like, this can't be something that you can't afford. Yeah, it can't be something you can't afford to lose. I'm not trying to say that I'm going to lose it, because, you know, like, it's a competitive sport. Just like music. Music is very competitive. And I love that. But you have to give people the pros and the cons. You have to let them know, like, the downside of this. You know? And then when you let people know the downside, they will in turn give you their expertise.
Maturity note. You know how when you're late for something, when you're young, or I guess you're less mature, because I don't want to say all young folks who do this, you don't hit them up because you're hoping and praying that you're going to
get there on time.
Just in time. But then when you get older, you start managing expectations. You think you're going to be 15 minutes late, you send them a text message, oh, I'm going to be half an hour late, and then they're happy when you're only 10 minutes late.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah. I mean, like, today I had a situation where I
But you hollered at me.
Yes.
Yeah, and like, the thing is also too, like,
I know how 20-year-old rappers are. I know.
Yeah.
I might not have been like, oh, where they at?
Yeah, but that's the whole thing, and it requires more than a text. Like, like the phone call to hear your voice, for you to hear my voice, is more important than saying, this motherfucker just sent me a goddamn text. I just said, this motherfucker.
Yeah. Well, so it really is. Everything all comes down to communication and relationships.
Yes, it does.
Being an artist means that you have interesting ways. Like, a lot of artists are artists because they have trouble communicating in normal ways. But remember, when you're an artist, you're not all of artists are lucky enough to be rappers where talking is our thing. But when you're an artist, that means you have developed unique ways to communicate that people like. So feel free, like James did, to use those same skills to get people to understand whatever it is that you're doing to make you money, and to develop those multiple streams of income.
Now, listen, with money, like, let's be real clear that, you can't let money rule you. Money is a defense, and money is something that, like, can help you get from point A to point B, which is the definition of love. The definition of love is the closest points between 2 points, which is a straight line.
I really like that.
Yeah, that worked really. When I was a single man,
solid.
that worked really well.
Yeah, I love it. And on that note, let's go to a song. Woo!
Right. Since we're all hot and bothered. Yo, so now I wanted. I'm gonna mess with you a little bit. So, did you know that there is a St. Croix in Russia?
Hell no. Like, what the fuck does that mean?
So, yeah, I know, right? Just like there's a Georgia, out there. Then there's a Georgia over here. They got similar words. So, what I do for when we have folks on is I'm usually searching through SoundCloud and Bandcamp and YouTube, trying to find the indiest of indie people because, I love to put on the folks that, have had the least listens but still are dope.
Uh-huh.
And I found, just while searching St. Croix, the St. Croix Collectivet from St. Croix in Russia. And we're gonna play their song.
Wait.
Why.
But they actually pronounce Saint Croix. Don't they call it like?
Well, because it comes from France, so the Saint Croix.
So then, don't they say Saint Croix?
We gonna find out. But this is the Saint Croix. I'm saying Saint Croix because I'm from Saint Croix. This is, and I don't know if you know this, but my daddy was from Russia, so this is like,
it's
this
you.
is me.
I don't know. I think
this
this is a setup, man. This is like, there's way too many connected the dots here.
Well, you got to follow the money. And we're going to take you in a minute. What's your budget? Bonfire Radio. St. Croix Collectivo. That's why.
Jeg så dem av typen I går igjen.
Han bare en venn!
Det var ikke det jeg så på meldingene.
Har du gått inn på telefonen min?
Ja, og nå stikker jeg gidder ikke mer.
Det blir ikke første gangen I hvert
Men
fall.
denne gangen det ordentlig.
Ok. Jeg og babe prater som om vi hater hverandre. Hver dag, hver kveld, hver natt så det bare bla bla om at hun ikke liker bla bla. At hun hater at jeg aldri sa fra. Om hva da? At hun var sint, men spilte dritglad. Og jeg spilte sint, men var deppa og ville være drita. Men egentlig ferdig med sånn der. Babe så bra, men av og til så glemmer jeg hvem hun Og jeg ikke bedre selv om jeg spiller chill. Spiller med kort som jeg vet hun ikke vil. Med 3 timers avstand og kort lunte. Sitter på bussen, bla bla, båtrute.
Check måtte late som at alt var bra. Jeg tenkte alltid på henne når hun var langt ifra. Kranglet med henne nesten hver kveld. Når hun følte at jeg var streng, jeg ville hjelpe henne for det beste. Hun trengte hjelp, Hun var ikke bare venninna mi. Hun var alt. Hun lyste opp som en diamant, og det sant. Hun var den eneste som ikke var så spa. Jeg ville bare at hun skulle ha det bra. Brått ned, ha det bra. Føler at verden åpne. Kan du se det, gi meg svar om du ser det, men jeg tenker som vanlig. Det farlig om jeg tenker på mye og bruker tiden på våtrute.
You better tell me the whole truth. This the reason why I don't trust them. This the reason why I don't need them. You better tell me the whole truth. This the reason why I don't trust them. This the reason why I don't need them. 2 years done, I can't believe you. Better bounce on to the next. I said bounce on to the next. A real dude.
I see your angels shine, goddamn you so damn fine. I wanna make you mine, but it ain't the right time. You got a man now, so I should let a man down. You know you can get yourself something better. This is your song, yeah, not a love letter. Every time you see me, could I wish that you can be me so you can really feel me. Oh yeah, I'm feeling you. I wanna get you feeling, cause my own got you. Fuck that nigga beside you. You don't know my secret about you. You should never know. Let's pretend that I'm writing a random song.
Kjærlighet det verste jeg vet, men vært der før og gjort det der. Kan mitt alt bli såret selv. Kjipe greier så lei, men ting jeg pleier vi klarer å greie. Jeg ikke til å leies. Kommer til meg 2 uker før du går lei. Leverer meg tilbake, så jeg betyr visst ikke en dritt for deg. Jeg elsker og elsker, men jeg går rett I fella. Du elsker og elsker, men ta så fortell da. Om du virkelig elsker, hvorfor tror du da så fort? Nei, fuck it, bare spar deg som de sier, gjort gjort. Ja, jeg har fått nok, jeg sier stopp. Alt du har av kropp, du det motsatt av rått. Inni det trange hodet ditt allting grått,
You better tell me the whole truth. This the reason why I don't trust them. This the reason why I don't need them. You better tell me the whole truth. This the reason why I don't trust them. This the reason why I don't need them. 2 years done, I can't believe you. Better bounce on to the next. I said bounce on to the next. a real dude. No, don't touch my fucking hand, boy, I'm done with you. Who the fuck you think you're fooling? I'm done with you. Look into my eyes, boy, and tell me the truth. So who is this calling Vanessa who? Yes, I had my chances, but I respected you. You. Better tell me the whole truth. This the reason why I don't trust them. This the reason why I don't need them. 2 years down, I can't believe you. Better bounce down to the next. I say bounce down to the next. A real dude. Give me another guy. Someone who treat me right. Instead of the other guys that don't realize that I. Give me another guy. Someone who treat me right. Instead of the other guys that don't realize that I. This the reason why I don't trust them. This the reason why I don't need them. 2 years down, I can't believe you. Better bounce down to the next. I said bounce down to the next. A real dude.
And we're back. Brunch and Budget Bonfire Radio. That was the St. Croix Collective with That's Why.
Yes.
Yeah, and we're here with St. Croix's own, not exactly that St. Croix, James Freeman, who is the owner of all of the restaurants that you enjoy in Bushwick.
Sweet Science, Featherweight, and Sally Roots.
Yes.
Sally Roots,
Go to all of
Featherweight,
them.
and Sweet Science. If you've come to Bushwick and had a good time with your stomach, it was probably his or him.
Shotsky Watskis, baby.
Yes. I love it. So
All the crucial rum you got drink.
Yes.
What up, Star?
Yeah,
the
in Sally
Crucial
Roots,
rum.
in Sally Roots, we had this thing called All the Rums. Literally, we put
All the Rums.
all the rums, all the rums,
All the rum?
yes.
all,
So
all the rums.
if you haven't noticed, the show has gone on. And
Single barrel?
Single barrel, yes.
Everything.
So this show's going to run into overtime a little bit. So if you're listening live, you can catch the full show on the podcast,
For our
brunchandbudget.com/podcast.
crucial listeners, what we're trying to say is we got a lot to chat.
We got a lot to
Massive.
chat.
Big ups to the Wire. Wire them. Walk on rest. Yeah. Wire.
Tight
Love
village. That's not my neighborhood. Man.
So good. Oh my gosh. Okay, so
Hey, what am I saying?
I got a couple Crucians in here.
Yeah, no, but
Yes.
we're here with our Dead Day Job R&B
Yes,
interviews.
Dead Day Job
We're getting a
R&B
lot
interview.
of really great and fascinating information about, one, how being an artist is beneficial for you, whether or not you use your art as your career in terms of making money.
Or how you use your artistic abilities and
how
skills.
how you use the skills
to
that
follow
you've
another
learned.
passion and to follow another purpose.
Well, because the thing
Yeah.
about a lot of us artists, is, I always like to say, as a hip hop MC, because we MC, right? There are MCs and there are rappers. People love like Jay-Z because he's dope, real MC. He can freestyle, do all the other stuff. But he's an MC who has a day job as a platinum rapper. Not every MC has a day job as a rapper that makes them money for them. And a lot of our MCing can lead and translate, as you've been explaining throughout the hour, into other things. And all types of art lead to that. The way that we express is the way that we learn. And the way that we learn is the way that we communicate. And whatever way rocks with us, whether we make giant paintings or whether we do performance art or whether we're in a noise band or rhyme or do anything like that, that can be the way that we base our career on in terms of what we do. And you're really illustrating that. I want to thank you so much for showing that that's a possible thing.
Well, thank you guys for having me here. And this is once again, the reason why I'm here is because of that work ethic. You know, it's just like, just going up to somebody and saying hi, saying, how are you doing? Is everything okay? Basically being aware of somebody else's comfort.
Right.
You
And
know?
I feel like it's
Being aware of somebody else's comfort.
That's-
Really, guys.
Oh my
for
God!
your
Don't you want to go to
clients,
his
for your-
restaurant like every day? Seriously, being aware of somebody's comfort.
Well,
And
clients,
that's-
customers, that's an important thing.
That's it.
The
That's-
reason McDonald's doesn't exist no more, that exists, but they're falling apart. Remember there's a McDonald's on like every corner, and it's because they stopped caring. So many businesses, I stopped wanting to go out to restaurants, and I don't go to fast food places because they don't care. They look at you with dead eyes supervisor, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I walk into a place, any place. I'm easy, man. I walk into a restaurant. I walk into a hairdress place, any place. If you know about what you're talking about and care about what you're doing and care about me, sold. You're getting my money.
Yeah, and I think it's beyond even work ethic. Like, I think that's a very humble way to describe it, but I think what you do
appreciate that.
is you connect with people. You care about connecting with the people that walk into your restaurant.
I guess what you mean by work ethic, and the work is opening yourself.
Yes.
Being real like that.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, look, man, it's just like making it's just like making an album. Starting a business is just like making an album.
Yes.
Making an album that's my analogy. That's my metaphor for everything. If you open up a place, like there's things like Yelp. You gotta keep your soul. You're gonna be criticized either way.
Yeah.
And
word.
And
you want to be.
Well,
I mean, I think so. I think
like some people,
it helps you find your people.
Hey, some people are steroid about. Some people get on that Yelp shit and just go crazy.
Oh, yes.
But but doesn't that give you an opportunity to really show who you are when people start attacking you? Because Pam recently, or Pam today, was in an article. They talked about her, and then some troll went and attacked her business model, and it gave a great opportunity for her to say, well, you misinterpreted my business model. And she explained it, and now everything is super clear.
Sometimes. It depends if that said person is an argumentative person. Sometimes people want to be that tool in the room.
Yes.
Oh, and it's just not worth it for you to engage.
Yeah, sometimes, sometimes, you just got to take the L on the chin and say, like, okay, this was that person's experience.
Yep.
Maybe they weren't understanding because they don't know the dynamics of what's happening in the back of the room.
Especially if you've never worked in a restaurant. You have no idea what's going on.
Son, that shit is like, you got to understand. Yo, there's to get one plate, right?
Yeah.
To one person, your plate of food, right? Listen, like, give me like fish. You want fish or you want chicken? What do you want to eat?
I want some fish.
Okay, you want fish? What do you want?
I want some dolphin fish.
I want chicken.
You want chicken? Okay. So then, what do you want to come with that? You want rice?
Whatever comes with it, man. It's your restaurant.
So let's say you want chicken, rice, and sauteed collard greens.
Yeah.
You get the dolphin, right, with the butter sauce.
And I want kalaloo.
Jesus Christ,
oh my
you want
God.
kalaloo?
Fresh kalaloo.
5 hours later.
Okay, now the freshness isn't the problem, right? Your dish, right? The three things that you have on yours, and then the three things that you have on yours.
Right.
That's 3 different sections.
6 things
that somebody has to do. So just times that by like 30 or 40 people, right? Mm-hmm. And so you gotta be very impressed when your food comes out in a timely manner. That's the name of our game.
Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what we fight to do every day. Like, we fight to get the food out on time. We fight to get your drinks right. We literally fight.
It's the sweet science.
Yeah, it's the sweet science of it all.
Yeah.
It's like some military shit, man. Like, like the back of the house has to work with the front of the house. The front of the house have to work with the back of the house. And then within all of that, then you have your manager that has to see all of that. And then your manager has to explain all of that to me.
Well,
you know what I mean?
One thing about your restaurant that I think is really interesting, pertaining to what you're saying, is usually when I go to a Caribbean place, whether it's in the Caribbean or whether it's here in New York, you know how it is. You roll up, ain't no waiter, ain't no waitress, and we get what we get. You walk in, you're like, hey, so, especially when it's come to stuff like kalaloo. Oh man, I've been heartbroken so many times. Hey, you guys got kalaloo? No, they finished for the day. Oh, you got the stew goat? No, finished for the day. You know what I'm talking about. And what you have in your place, you've got that Caribbean feel when you walk in, but you're also, like you're saying, making sure y'all bust behind to have everything that people want, which risky is not the wrong word. It's a very daring approach. I understand that most of these Caribbean places, the reason why they run out in the middle of the day of half of their items is because they don't want to overorder, because they're afraid to take that risk. And that's why a lot of those places, even if they're amazing and famous and all, stay where they are. What was it that gave you the gumption to say, you know what? I'm going to take that risk. I will have the stock. Whatever it is that you want, we're going to have it today.
That's very simple. Like, you're judged by your efforts. Like, when you constantly run out of things, that can be viewed either one of two ways, right? Either one, you don't know how to stock your restaurant. Mm-hmm. 2, you're running out of things because you can't afford to purchase things, right? Or 3, you're just so damn popular, right? That it just runs out, right? Now, running out of things on a consistent basis, right? The customer, the general public, they're gonna get turned off by that.
Yeah.
They're
not gonna come back.
That's why you do that with specials. Oh man, we ran this special, we ran out.
Yeah, it's a special.
It's a special.
Missed it.
That's what specials are for.
That's a great alternative, by the way, restaurateurs who want to try a new product but are scared about ordering a lot of it.
Then you know what you do? You size down your menu. Instead of having like this clipboard of 50 different items,
right?
On your menu,
which
is crazy, right? Because what you end up having is you put a lot of stress on the kitchen. And even though you see the trick of the game, right? When you go to a diner and you see 50 different things and you're like, oh wow, or even the Chinese restaurants, you're like, oh wow, what's my choice? What's my choice of the day, right?
Exactly, yeah.
The key to the game is menu on menu. You want to basically, you want to use your fish and the parts of the fish that you don't use, you probably want to pull it and use that for the chicken on your salad. This menu on menu, but you just got to make those things creative, right? When you have too many things, they get lost. It's like having too many shoes. Now, as a young lady, as a female, you can never have too many shoes, right? When you have too many shoes, you don't have enough outfits. So then you just get way too much stock. You know what I'm saying? And you just have way too much product. So my advice to the small little mom and pop spot that's running out of things, make your menu smaller. Focus on the things that you do really well.
Yeah, things that you've been running out.
Yeah, and the things that you do really well, keep those things, and then what you'll realize is that your clientele that patronizes you, they'll start coming in more consistently for what you do, and then that will give you the opportunity to grow the menu if need be.
Yeah.
So many of my favorite restaurants I go to for 3 things.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
come
you
on,
go back
come on,
for the
y'all,
same
listening
stuff.
right now.
No, true.
Your favorite
It's so
restaurant
true.
you go to for 3, maybe 5 at the most things.
You always say you're going to try something new, and you don't.
Yeah, and I want to pause for a quick second because while we was listening to that, we touched on some really quality things, and it's economics. The shit, man. Thing that you were saying about the percentages on an IRA and stocks
the
and stuff
returns,
like that,
yeah.
right?
By the way, I just wanted to note that we're already in overtime and we're just gonna go.
We're just going to go.
Okay.
So with somebody building their business plan, right? You have to kind of think of a number that you would like to hit.
Yes.
You have to think of a number and it has to be within reason.
Right, but you have to have a goal number in mind. Otherwise,
Yeah.
it's not real. You can't measure it.
Yeah.
Totally.
Within reason and a real number, and you have to do the stuff.
It
Yeah,
has
you
to be
can't. You
measurable.
can't get somebody to invest in you and say, "Hey, the man, what? No, the man, this is gonna make $1 million a month,
But you know people.
Same argument.
You can't do that. You can't. You
And you know
can't.
people do that, though.
Yeah. So with the percentages that I was telling you to spit, the reason why I was telling you to do that, think about it. If somebody gives the bank $10,000 and they get 1% on that $10,000, that's your benchmark. Mm-hmm. What percentage can you do better? You do the math. I mean, right now there's no calculators and stuff like that, and I don't want to count. We sipping, but if you can get to 15 to 20 to 25%, right?
Right.
Percentage on somebody's on their money, right? Then that's good. And then also the back end from that is the length of the lease. You got to figure out how long will it take you within reason to pay back this note. So if you have a 10-year lease, worst case scenario, it takes you 5 years to pay that note back, and then you can tell your investors that you have 5 years to make money.
Yeah.
That's part of the pitch. And then once you're in the game and you're at bat, this is when word is bond, what we used to say back in the day.
Yeah.
Word is your bond.
Your goal is to say I want to pay this note back in 5 years.
Yeah.
And if you pay it back in 3, which that should be your goal, then everybody's happy.
That managing expectations, right? I'm going to be half an hour late and I'm only 15. Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yes.
and with talking money with people, I would definitely lean towards the, lean towards the longer. Say
Yeah.
like 5 years instead of saying 3, because then people are going to hold you to 3 and they're going to be like, why didn't you do it to 3?
I just want to throw in as because I know we're already in overtime and all that, but there's one thing that we often ask that we didn't have time to go around because we've been going around a lot of really great important areas. Who do you feel like, Pam, you see?
Yeah. Where have you?
Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
Where have you found support in all of this, and where do you wish you had support?
I don't understand the question.
So, in building this restaurant, who did you look to for support? Who did you get support from? And where do you wish you had support? Like from people, from friends? Was there anyone in particular?
Any communities
any
or any
communities.
organizations, whether it's the fellow food people, whether it's people of color, whether it's Crucians, whatever, anything like that.
That's like, that's like instead of crying in a corner in your bathroom with the door closed, you go outside on a park bench and you just start bawling. You can't really think like that.
Word.
You can't think like that. People aren't obligated to fulfill your dreams. When you ask that question, you gotta look dead at yourself. You gotta say like, hey man, if you're asking the question like, man, I wish I would have got support from this one and that one, you gotta be like, well, I need to muster up more strength in support of myself to make people believe in me.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't understand that.
Right.
Because then it's like, then we can turn this all into a pity party.
Yeah, totally.
I can be like,
yeah,
well,
and people can get lost in that.
Yeah, and then and that's an easy way out. That's the first acceptance of failure is pointing blame.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I really like that point because if I am being like, you know what? I made this product for Latinx women between the ages of 25 and 32. And I realized after building my business that they're my least profitable demographic. It's not because they're hating on me. It's probably because I'm not listening to their needs.
Exactly.
Word. I feel that.
Yeah. And you know what? And maybe those aren't the people that support you, but then maybe somebody else is.
Right.
Or,
and you can't discount that.
Yeah, which we talked about earlier. That's great.
Yeah, and then listen, man, like not every idea is a good one.
That's word. People need to just wear T-shirts that say that.
Yeah,
not every idea is a good one.
And a bad idea is not a bad inventor. Is not a bad entrepreneur.
That doesn't make you a bad person.
Yeah, it doesn't make you a failure as a human. I've had bad ideas.
Me too.
I've gone forth with those bad ideas. I've
spent money on those bad ideas.
Yo, bad ideas and failures are those are benchmarks to know that you're trying.
Yeah.
It's
bad ideas are benchmarks to know that you're trying.
I love that.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
yes.
it's like
yes.
You guys keep making me you guys got me feeling like Kanye West up in here.
You're killing it. You're killing it.
Oh, we will. Your
Yes.
wife will have sex with Ray J. Wait.
So I want
No, stop it.
Terrible. Stop.
That was so awkward. Yo, just imagine, like that's how you got your fame.
Hey, look, I'm a few years younger than you, so that means that I grew up watching Moesha as a kid.
She was cool.
I'm just saying, remember Ray J was on the show as the little
Stop. That's terrible. Let's not think of this
her
anymore.
and Fredo Starr from Onyx.
Yo.
Remember you thought Onyx
he was the one with the fucked up eye.
Yeah, well no, that's Sticky. That's Sticky.
Sticky
Did he
with
ever
the
fix
fucked
the
up eye.
He never fixed that. I met him. I met him, and this is messed up. Sticky, don't beat me up. But when you look at someone with cross eyes, it's very confusing because you look straight at them in the eye, and their eyes are looking in different directions, and you're like, are they looking at me? Are they not looking at me? Am I being rude if I look at them in the eye?
No, we know somebody like that.
Do I need to look in the other direction? I felt terrible.
No, stop it.
I didn't know what to do.
No, stop. Like, yo, first of all, in Sticky's defense, that motherfucker scared the shit out of me. Him, Ice Cube, like, terrified.
I want to stick up for Sticky.
I want to stick up for Sticky.
My favorite thematic album ever is Kirk Jones' autobiography. Have you ever heard Sticky's album? That's a whole thematic thing.
No, I didn't.
It's like a play as an album. You gotta listen to it. We're rap about it.
Oh my god, y'all are
Shout out to
crazy.
Sticky.
What is your okay? So like real quickly, right? What is
since we in overtime? So fuck it, right?
What
I just cursed.
What is your favorite? What's your favorite verse?
Whoa, my favorite verse ever. That's
in life.
That's really difficult.
Okay, like give me three. Give me
okay.
Give me three.
So we'll start off with my childhood favorite verse ever. The first verse that I memorized before I even heard it, which was the first verse to Triumph, Inspect the Deck. Bomb atomically, Socrates' philosophies, all that, of course. You know. My current favorite verse as a one verse, I've got two. One from a person I know, one from a person I don't know. And one is the second verse from Uncommon Valor by R.A. the Rugged Man, where he tells the true story of his father being a Vietnam War vet. It's just impeccably rapped. And the other is by, conscious of course, friggin' left the room, Bond family homie Zoe the Schizophrenic Bandit. I'm on this album, but my favorite verse is not mine or the verse from the track I'm on. He got this song called Roots and Culture. He's of Jamaican descent. And as a Caribbean rapper, I'm going to play the track for you because, oh my God, the flow. I can't call anything perfect in this world, but he has the perfect flow ever on this flow for this joint. So those are my favorites. I'm just throwing that out there.
No, that's dope.
Bonfire Family, now you know stuff.
Family.
Rappers who didn't hear stuff, Ty and all those guys, I still love your work.
The one, you know, like the one, like there's, I have a bunch, right? But the one lyric that sticks in my head, that I just love, and you know, like, and I want to be on the other side of that. I want somebody to say that about me.
Yeah,
is what Jay-Z said. He said, "A whole world with amnesia won't forget your name." Like, think about that shit, man. A whole world with amnesia won't forget your name.
Whew.
That's love right there.
Yes.
That's where I want to be. That's where I want. No, I'm done. I'm like, because I'm gonna just talk about love after that.
No, because I'm right there with you. No, I really, because what you said inspired something. To plug myself, I talk about this in the next record that I'm doing, and this is a thing that I talk about a lot, and I think is important. Is that real recognizes real, and those of us who are doing things that we feel is benefiting a system, we're creating our own systems. Racism, slavery, all sorts of hatreds are systems that people agreed upon because it benefited them. And we have systems of our own that work with us and benefit us. And what you're saying really gets me hype because this is the way that we actually communicate. It's not often textual. People feel a lot of artists, and people like a lot of art in different forms, your rap, your music, your theater, your paintings, whatnot, because it speaks to them on a visceral level. And I think what's really important, especially with what you've been saying about entrepreneurs and about restaurateurs in particular, is to go with those things that inspire that burning in your chest, those things that, whether you have worked as a musician, whether you have worked in operations, whatever it is, whether you've worked in education, those things that inspire you to communicate clearly and create something that everybody needs and people understand that they need, that's how you have a business that works, no matter what the business is.
Yo, it's just make your own album. That's what we're going to do. Hashtag
make your own album. I love that so much.
I love that.
Make your own album.
Make your own album.
And then also the one thing that, like, you know, if we can keep, or you guys can just keep pushing it, because this is what I feel. Right now we are at war. And the war is the war is economic.
Yes.
You know, like it's
it
not
always is.
It's not bullets. It's not like, you know, all these things. It's economic. You know, it's economic. It's like, it's economically sound for a young African American or somebody of color to be caught with a gun so they can go to jail and like the system can get free labor.
Oh yeah.
Out of them for 15 years.
The prison industrial complex is
just party,
slavery.
Man. Like that's what makes America great, baby. You dig? It's like, do you want to be a slave or do you want to be free? My last name is Freeman, singular, Freeman, and my great grandfather fought for that. I wish to tell all the listeners and also my my young people of color and also young white folks, man. Like, I mean, like, the thing is, like, our people are the color of a speckled bird. You know, like, we can't look at people with bigoted eyes. You know, like, you can't look at like the young white dude that loves hip hop and be like, oh, you playing a game. No, because motherfuckers, they studying. They got bars. Look at Eminem. They got bars.
Shout out to Mind Spray.
You know, they got bars. You can't, like, there's like Asian dudes that, like, you know, cats are like studying this shit because that's all they know.
Shout out to Pam.
You know, so we can't be we can't be older bigots and look at look at the young generation or judge somebody from the color, from just seeing what it is without even hearing them speak. Like this person's speaking. He trying to do this. He trying to do that. No, man. Flattery comes from imitation. And it's our job to teach these cats, and how they're learning is through music, man. Once again, the war is economic, and what you guys are doing is a service. Teach these young folks economics.
Yo, this is beautiful. Thank you so much.
Yes.
The war is economic. No, because everything you said is really powerful, important, and on our mission. The war is economic. They shot Dr. King and Malcolm X because they started talking to white folks about how we all rock it together. And
they villainized dark skin so they could keep us all down.
And not only is the war economic, but the way past it is through our creativity in all of those forms, and about our acceptance of that. You illustrate that so amazingly, perfectly. It's wonderful.
Every day.
Yo, we are well into overtime.
Yo,
it's worth it.
Look. It's just the dialect that I select when I hang.
Y'all know, I don't know if y'all know this about me, but I was born in the States. I was born in Philadelphia, but my hip hop comes from St. Croix. When we used to sit at the fountain at Sunny Isles, the rundown fountain, and play a boombox that would play the Wake Up Show on Saturday nights at 10 p.m. That's the only time we used to get hip hop at all. The man who used to run them clubs used to be like, "We don't want a Yankee mess. Go back to Babylon. What the heck?" So I appreciate the old school references. I really appreciate how honest and real you've been. Really and truly, as a collective people, and we've talked about people of color, we've talked about poor people, all of those groups, any of those groups, we're not going to be able to make it if we don't do it like the other folks do. So I appreciate your sharing so much. We all need it so much. Pam, is there anything else you want to add?
No, that was beautiful.
Please tell us all of the places.
Yes, where can we find you?
You can find me at Sweet Science, which is at 135 Graham and Johnson. And you can also find me at 195 Wyckoff between Himrod and Herman.
Sally Roots.
And you can also find me at Featherweight, which is at 195 Graham and Johnson. And, the world is forever changing. It's forever changing.
Word to that. Let's end on that. And thank you so much. We're going to play. The last one is going to be a track by Naya Lion.
Yes.
Yeah, I told you you were gonna know something about this, and it is called St. Croix. And if you listen to this tune, this is, if you care at all or know at all about what's going on in the America-owned and ruled Caribbean, this song explains a lot of the issues and a lot of what's going on. So please feel free to inquire further. Heck, send a tweet or email dialect, and we could talk some more about it. Check you later. Check you next week. We're going to do it more. And again, thank you so much. Brunch and Budget, Bonfire Radio. Peace.
Sun makes love to the soil, but I'm growing when the gun takes all to be spoiled. How many of us died with no sense of light to take us through the night? I'm going back to the place with the breeze in my blood, back to the place with the trees in my grove, where the things we see is the things we saw. In everything my spiritual be on the shores of the seas, somewhere in Annalee, vibes in with the hills that sing that the casino don't let us driving to do right, trying to refrain, dying in vain. Drive between the lanes, bad and mind don't lie. When you ride and claim, trials overcame, claim you proclaim. I'll be grinding for my city, grinding for my wife, grind for my old lady, my sister and her two child. My hands in the game so the best can't hold me. Doing my thing, don't commit no for lonely. Last in the stakes, I'm gonna keep going. Fresh to my chest with my skin is my bone. Do what I do to get on by. Make my moves, it'll be alright. Write my tune and I'm in upsides. They goal of my life. We not playing, Babylon slaying, pulling the thoughts and the things they say. Rich down spacing, miseducated. All of you touch your holy nation. Back to the place with the breeze in my blood. Back to the place with the trees in my grove. Where the things we see is the things we saw. In everything, my spirituality. On the shores of the seas, somewhere in Annalee. Vibes in with the hills that sing. And the cassie and the door, little shaking the thing. Real to the real. When you feel all the things I feel. When I think about tone, say crush my flesh and bone. So I be putting it down. Putting it down. I'm from my home. ready to free us. Making it mad with a starting a conscious party. Namaste, Yahweh, let's get it started. Start to kill them with life. Never could have failed when I'm trying to do right. 10 million on my left side. Got million get slayed by the night. Cause they're riding around with they don't belong. Bribing the people of religion. Building banks of government house. Sapping our foundation. Feel like just have silly door. Silly keys never let we know. A means of being in Zion. This is deleting our own. Hey, this is what me say. Fire me gon' blaze. Pan my people legs. Back to the place with the breeze in my blood. Back to the place with the trees in my grove. But the things we see is the things we saw. In everything my spirituality. On the shores of the seas. Somewhere in Emily. Vibes in with the hills that say. They can see on the door, look, I shake everything. Real people keep it real. When you feel all the things I feel. When I think about tone. Say crush in my flesh and bone. So I be putting it down. Putting it down. I'm from my own. I'm from my own. I patiently live my life. Cause I came from beginning last time. Was hardened like a ruby through that dark tunnel to where. And I've only begun my vibe. So me go 12 to the machine. Never let go until them splashing. In them blood, them guts like ashing. Bringing the blood, this dirty watching. Like wayward misbehaving little boy that need a lashing. To be great, you got to make a way to break every ration. So it starts in my brain, pull my heart. In the lady Merkaba, take me away. Imagination is my area. I'm pushing on my frequencies and colors everywhere. Want me say hey, hey, hey. Back to the place with the breeze in my blood. Back to the place with the trees in my grove. But the things we see is the things we saw. In everything my spirituality. On the shores of the seas, somewhere in Annalee. Vibes in with the hills that sing. And the cassie and the door, I'm shaking it in. Real pips keep it real. When I feel all the things I feel. When I think about tone, say crush in my flesh and bone. So I'll be putting it down. Putting it down. I'm on my own. I'm on my own. Lincoln Music Group. Fire for the people, them. Yes, sir.